They're her favorite shears. These pet grooming scissors are just folding the hair. They're not cutting at all. Favorite shears. Do you think they can be fixed? What you think, Max?
Yep.
This is Max from New Zealand. He's here visiting, getting advanced sharpening training, as I said at the class. And because you've been sharpening knives.
Yes.
And he's expanded into, we call them shears, you call them scissors, right?
Scissors, yeah. Shears are for cutting wool off sheep.
Shears are for cutting wool off sheep. So this one is definitely a pet grooming shear, so that's why I'm testing it on here. And you think just sharpen it will fix it?
I think so.
Okay, let's see if Max is right. We're going to follow him. So you're taking it apart. Why are you taking it apart?
Because they're convex.
Because it's a convex and you want to work the inside.
Yeah, definitely. And there's damage up here I can feel all the way along.
And I never get the luxury of actually running the camera and not having to do the work. So I think I'm going to flip this around here and be able to zoom in and get really well what you're doing. I always wanted to be a cameraman, Max. And I have learned so much about New Zealand since he's been here. And just have been really impressed with the knowledge he's given me. So New Zealand's not like Australia and Georgia where we were started with a bunch of convicts. It was mostly, you said the Scottish?
Scottish, yeah.
And with red hair and a name like Megowan, I can appreciate that. So what are you doing now?
I'm just going to do the ride line. And then I'll put it onto the abrasive.
And where are you putting your pressure?
On the pivot point.
Okay.
Up here.
Why is that?
Because that's where you don't want to wipe out the tip. You don't want to put too much. You want to take the curvature out of the blade by putting the weight up here. What I will do
So he's marking the ride line. You don't have to do that to get a good ride line, but it does make it a little easier, doesn't it?
Especially if you're not sure.
And I probably wouldn't come off the stone like you're doing. It might be a little easier to, try to stop at the bottom of the stone.
Interesting.
So what are you seeing?
See, we're not getting anything around here. Up here, getting it up on the back of the J, and it's definitely up the blade. Missing a bit there.
Yeah. You might need to work that corner. So you got the whole pivot on there in that area where the red wasn't coming off. And that's also where you saw that damage too, remember?
Yeah. Starting to come.
Looks like you got it, have you?
Not all of it.
So you're hanging the tip off so you don't strip the tip so that you can do a little extra work at the pivot area, right?
Correct, yeah. Now we've got it. So
Yeah.
got it all the way up now.
And I would do a few strokes of the whole blade so you're blending it all together.
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Yeah. And you might hear these called texturizers or chunkers or I've heard people call them thinning shears, but I don't think that's the correct name. When they've got the big wide teeth like that, I would probably more correctly call them texturizers or chunkers. You haven't dealt much with the groomers in New Zealand to know what they call them there, except scissors instead of shears.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, I got something I've been wanting to ask you, Max. So this here on my forehead right here, what do you call this in New Zealand?
Fringe.
Fringe. That's what I thought. Here in the States, we call it bangs.
Bangs?
Yeah, bangs. So what's bangs in New Zealand? Tell me the truth.
Bangs is when you have a crash in your car.
Oh, well, no. The people we've had from Australia now, they call bangs as like a sexual encounter.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that too, yeah.
So I tell the students, if someone comes and sits in their chair and their accent sounds like they might be from Australia or England or something, don't ask them if they want bangs.
No.
No. So it's fringe, huh, is the correct term. That's what
fringe.
I thought, yeah. We were at a school and I was telling that, and there was this girl sitting up from the front, just about fell out of her chair laughing, and it turned out she was from Australia. And she said, yeah, anytime I hear somebody talk about bangs, that's what...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. So fringe is the correct term there,
Fringe,
huh?
yeah. Yep, we
That
got
looks
it all.
pretty good, huh? Let me zoom in here a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice looking ride line, isn't it?
45? 40.
I'd go 40, I think. Because it's a groomer.
Yeah.
Sounds like you might be getting more sharpening today here, Max. Appreciate you doing my work for me.
Yeah.
And when somebody says, hey, I always send them back to the manufacturers to have them sharpen, you can say, well, how do you know it's not somebody they trained yesterday doing your sharpening? And they're like, oh, they wouldn't do that. And you say, well, they might. I think I'll just keep you to do all my work for me.
Yeah.
So is that a flat plate or a cushion plate?
That is a cushion plate.
Is it?
Actually, hang on, that's a good point. It's a flat plate.
And you wouldn't have ruined the shears if you'd gone with the flat plate, but the cushion plate I think is going to be a little bit more forgiving, make it easier to do a convex edge.
I'm using a worn 800.
Worn 800, okay. And that just sticks on like Velcro, huh?
That's what it is.
And you're going to have to work a section of the blade at a time, that long a blade, aren't you? I don't think you haven't sharpened a blade this long yet, have you?
No.
I'd probably maybe do it in thirds, you know, like a third of the blade and then a third in the middle and then toward the end.
Starting at the...
Yeah, yeah. And the key thing is if you're doing a long blade like that, you don't want to have the blade touching right at the end of the plate or it'll end up wavy. You getting burr yet?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty good.
and the tip's not touching beyond the center.
No.
So pulling it across like that, it's going to end up looking a little bevelly maybe. I don't know. What's it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to do some more rocking to get it more of a convex. She probably wouldn't notice the difference as long as they cut, but it would be better to have them convex. These are those Christensen or whatever. It's some famous dog groomer that has his own line of shears, and she said it was her favorite. I bet she cried when they fell off the table. I think she said the dog moved and their shears fell off the table. And dog grooming shears tend to be the hardest to sharpen because, number one, they're longer, which makes them more difficult, and then they have all kinds of more mishaps. Well, Max, I think they look like a bevel. They look pretty convexy, don't they? So feeling for the burr, I'm laying my finger here and pulling up. When that burr is big enough that you can see, to me it's almost too big a burr, because see, you can't really see it, but you can definitely feel it. Yeah, there's a burr all the way down to the tip. Looks good. Next step, what you doing next?
We'll do the other side.
Max is going to make me a nice flow chart for each of the steps. We've had the little recipe or cheat sheet, whatever you call it, that people have been using with all the steps on it, but you're wanting to simplify it, right?
Yeah.
So somebody already knows how to sharpen and knows the steps. They can just kind of jog their memory what's next. Now the teeth are convex or bevel?
Well, they're bevel.
And they're probably a much blunter angle than the straight blade. So you may want to do a scratch test on them. And we saw earlier, it wasn't on the video, but we saw earlier there were some little nicks and imperfections on the teeth, wasn't there?
Yep.
And he's setting the clamp. We're going to have to figure out what the angle is on these, right? What you guess they might be?
Well, I've put them at 30. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you did a 44-20 yesterday, and it was, what was the angle on that one?
20.
20, yeah. And the guy that had him, he said he was a barber. He had him for 20 years, had never had him sharpened. So that, I guess, was the original angle on him.
Yep.
And he was happy.
They were sharp.
Sharp's not always a more acute angle. Sharp can also mean that it's a nice, consistent angle. So it looks like it's more blunt?
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of times those teeth will be really, really blunt. Maybe even the 5 degrees sometimes.
I'll go to 10 and just see.
You got a 10? Because the other blade is doing the cutting. Are you still on the cushion plate and the worn 800? Yeah. You'll switch it out when you get your angle.
No, it's still blunter than that.
Is that plate just too smooth and it's not scratching it?
I think it is.
Yeah, go ahead and switch to a flat plate and get something a little bit more aggressive.
It was.
I'm sorry my stuff's not as organized as it should be.
$400?
You could probably do a 400.
I'd rather a 600.
Yeah. Let me go get a 600.
No, I got a 600.
Here's a fresh 600 and a fresh 800. Which one you want?
Um,
Feel them both.
Might take the 800.
Okay.
Oh, that's the 600.
600. Here's the 800.
That's the 800.
It's such a huge difference between a fresh one and a worn one, isn't it?
Yeah.
We sell 2 different brands of this abrasive paper. I like the blue better, not just because it's cheaper, but because it's measured in grit and it's a little less confusing. But we also have the 3M, which is measured in microns.
Maybe that's too blunt.
Yeah, I think the other one, with it being cushioned maybe, and it was not aggressive enough, it wasn't giving you a true scratch test. Now, I do have one hairstylist that uses these shears on hair extensions. But by and large, these are going to be for groomers.
Yeah, we're getting close.
What angle you at now?
20, so
Tw-
I'm going to go
back to-
25. Back
okay.
to where it started.
Back to where you started. Shows you had good instincts. You had a good guess at the beginning, didn't you? And he's kind of scratching at a different place where he still has the red marker, right?
Yep, perfect.
Yep, that looks good. Yep.
Just do one up here, I think. Perfect.
Looks like you got it good all the way down. You got a burr. Kind of hard to tell in those teeth. I believe you have a burr. Does it feel like you have one?
No, probably there's a very tiny burr there, so
Yeah.
it does need more.
But with that being blunt like that, you could probably just leave it with that grit so it has
Yeah.
a little toothiness to it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like she's going to be slide cutting with them. I think she was afraid that I was going to have to bend the blades. I was kind of afraid I was going to have to bend the blades.
No, I think she just tightened up the tension to get them to try and cut.
Because, you know, if she's watched any of my videos, she's probably heard me say over and over again, when they flip and fold hair, they, you know, tighten the screw. But they were, they were already plenty tight. Just when they're, sometimes when they're a little dull, they won't. You're not talkative like the California guy we had earlier in the week. Jeff passed his ISSA too. He had the gift of gab though.
Nearly there, nearly.
Yeah, you're nearly there, huh? I think you're going to do well sharpening in the salon because you can concentrate while I'm over here chattering away. I was in the back of the shop one time sharpening, and there was about 4 hairstylists came in the back where I was working, and they were all comparing their boob jobs. Pulling up their shirts. One had had an enlargement, one had a reduction. And I mean, I'm not particularly interested in women's boobs, but I was having a hard time concentrating sharpening while they were all pulling their shirts up. You see crazy things in the salon.
We got a burr, apart from right up the very...
I think you got it everywhere, but I don't know if you've got it these 3 teeth. And these 3 teeth look... That's where that damage was that you noticed, remember?
Yeah.
I think I'd leave well enough alone.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what you're thinking?
Yeah. I mean, she's probably not going to be cutting back there much anyway.
I hope not, as long as they're not catching.
Yeah.
And we can do that ramping technique that we talked about if they're catching. Because if they don't cut up there, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Main thing is don't make them catch on the other blade. So now what's your step in your flow?
Remove the burr.
Remove the burr. You about ready for more water for your water bottle, huh? So that's water and just a little bit of soap in it. And if you have a choice of soap, try to get something that's not creamy. So he's not doing a whole big working the ride line again. He's just trying to pop the burr off. Is that pad that was white just yesterday?
It's the one.
Wow.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Oh, that one works, doesn't it? And that's diamond spray and then some white polishing compound. Did you set that little red knob so you wouldn't polish all the way to the edge? You forgot? Where you set that?
I've done it.
Oh, you did do it?
Yeah,
okay,
I've
I
set
missed it. I was sitting here daydreaming.
Yep, no, I've set it.
I was sitting here daydreaming. Thinking about going to Cancun for the Sharpeners Jam next year. So what's nice about this video, Max, is someone in the last video I posted or recently they were complaining that they couldn't really see the scratch test and what we were doing.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think this one would be a good one if someone's wanting to understand the scratch test.
Yeah.
And it also shows that you've got to have a nice, crisp, not a worn, abrasive to be able to see. Because it might give you a false reading. You do a much
Couldn't
blunter.
get it on that worn abrasive.
Yeah. You know, basically, seems like I learned something from every shear I sharpen. You'd think eventually I'd know it all, but I don't.
You never stop learning.
Nope. And I learn something from everybody I teach. I learned about the Kia birds and the Maori
Maori, yeah.
and how well the people in New Zealand treated the Maori compared to the way Australia treated the Aborigines and the Americans treated our Native Americans. So what's your heritage? All Scottish?
Yeah. Third generation New Zealander.
I would close it on the paper towel before you close it any further, because that back area is the damage area. We might have to ramp it. What's it look like?
The ramp looks all right.
Okay.
Man,
Is it catching?
It's catching.
Okay, don't do any more because you'll make it worse.
Yeah.
Let me see it. So, at this point, what I would probably do is push the blades apart and close it. Because see, we created a nick right there. You see the nick?
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have started up here. I would have started back here and cut. Except for that little nick, I think we're home free. Feel it?
Because that's where the damage was before.
Yeah, that's
too.
where the damage was before. And I think when you closed it just now, you created that nick. Because you didn't leave that nick. That wasn't there when you were done. So what we learned from that is if you close it on the paper towel, you got to have the whole blade on there.
Yeah.
Or push the blade apart, open it, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
But let's see how it cuts. Let me flip this over so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so before it folded, moment of truth. Look at that. Look at that. No trick to it, is it? Look at that. Even if I flip it over. And even if I open it up really, really wide and try to make it catch. Whee! Okay, you've done well. That was about as hard as any shears come, as those long texturizers. So clean them up and we'll get it packaged up. I think we can get them out today. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So he's going to oil these. He's going to put them back in the box, and they'll go back out to the customer today. So thank you for doing the work, and they came out fine, huh?
Yeah.
You learned a couple of things too, huh?
I did, yeah.
And so what do you say before I turn this camera off?
You never stop learning.
Well, I was hoping you'd say subscribe and push the bell.
Yeah, push the button. Give us a like.
But never stop learning is probably a much more important thing to say. So.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, I hope you're staying sharp. This is Bonnie Megowan, your red-headed sharpener here. And if you like this video, I try to post something every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you're looking for the tools I used in this video, there's some product links and things in the description, and also you can go to the website www.bonika.com. If you've got questions or you want to connect with me personally, you can always put a comment below, but I've got a lot more links in the description below that will show you how to get in touch with me. I teach in person and online, as well as, of course, these YouTube videos. And let's connect, let's learn more about sharpening together.